Alright, so trust me, I don't want to do a video for every single Celtics game this year, but they're 0-2 now, and their home opener loss to the Raptors freaked me out because they lost for the same reasons that they kept losing last year, which was a lack of intensity or just kind of showing up, And I've already seen some people say, well, they were tired from the Knicks game. I don't agree with that for a few reasons. Number one, the Knicks went to Orlando and won by 30. But also, it's the second game of the regular season. A flight from New York to Boston is 1 hour, and they had a day off. So there's that. Anyway, the Raptors grabbed a million offensive rebounds, and a lot of it was just the Celtics not boxing out. I mean, I didn't feel like doing the footage and everything for this one, but trust me, it happened. And I mean, it's simple stuff like Scotty Barnes is just hanging around the rim while Jason Tatum doesn't box him out, or Jaylen Brown doesn't box him out, or whatever. Or, he dunks over Peyton Pritchard because of the switching defense. They don't have a big guy grabbing a rebound in the paint or whatever. Now, even with that, the big guys were getting beat on the boards too. Like, there was one where Precious Achiuwa just kind of pushes Time Lord out of the way. He grabs one. There's a few where Anunoby or whoever just skies up over Horford or Robert Williams or whoever and gets another. It was really, really annoying. Udoka also went with a small lineup where it was Grant Williams at center with neither Tatum or Jalen in there. And that group got killed on the glass. It just wasn't happening. And again, these were the problems of last year. I mean, another thing was Scotty Barnes going off in this game, which, by the way, Scotty Barnes, love the guy. He made a lot of jump shots in this game, and there were a couple times where it's like Tatum is just kind of in the area of Scotty Barnes, but he's not giving him a lot of pressure, so he just rises up over him. So yeah, now the other thing was also that the Celtics committed a million turnovers, and some of them was like, getting the ball stripped or whatever, but some other ones too, like, Tatum will be driving, Raptors bring two to the ball, and then he freaks out, and the spacing around him isn't that good. Like, you've got like two guys standing in the same spot, which means he can't really pass it to either one because the floor is too cramped. There was one where Marcus Smart drove and he thought Horford was going to dive, but he actually popped and he just like threw it behind him thinking he'd be there. That was a turnover. And basically the Celtics were just not ready to play at all for their home opener. Now Paul Pierce was being honored or whatever, and now that's 0 for 2 when Pierce is in the building, and they usually get blown out. Yeah, man, like it'd be one thing if, I don't know, the Raptors just shot insanely well from 3 or whatever, but it was just like, really? You're already doing the do you guys really care that much thing? Like, it's game 2. The other thing as well, to talk about Ime Udoka some more. So I tweeted, is Udoka on the hot seat? Obviously he's not on the hot seat, but I do think he's on the social media hot seat, if you will, after this game. I also feel like his rotations, there were times when it was like, no Tatum or Jalen in the game, and it's some like Pritchard, Grant Williams, Richardson lineup. I'm not sure if that's going to work long term. Also, the offense, he's trying these baseline ISOs for Tatum and Jalen, and maybe it can work, maybe it can't, but it hasn't looked that great so far. Also, in the Knicks game, Jalen was kind of like the primary ball handler, and then against the Raptors, he wasn't. I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of stuff, but nothing super cohesive right now. Another thing that Udoka has going on is that he's really trying to hammer home not complaining to the refs. Like, Tatum did that, and then I think it's interesting. I mean, the fact that he has to do that to me is not great. I mean, Celtics fans will tell you that Jason Tatum has, I guess, quietly become one of the biggest complainers in the league to refs, to the point where I wouldn't be shocked if refs are a little like, all right, Tatum, would you just shut up already? Now, that said, Tatum does still have a lack of aggressiveness problem sometimes. Anyway, yeah, through 2 games, it's not going so well. They've got the Rockets next. They should win that game. And if they don't, or if it's close and they barely win, I feel like Celtics internet is going to implode. And, I mean, I don't want to do a video for every single Celtics game this year. So yeah, whatever all that means. I think it was very alarming that Udoka said that the halftime thing was about more effort, and then that didn't happen at all in the second half. As far as what else is going on in the NBA, so the Lakers were down by 30 to the Suns last night. They got it back to about 10, but The easy thing to look at with the stat sheet is that AD just missed a lot of shots, and it was mainly post-ups, but he also had to pull up from mid-range a couple times because the spacing wasn't the best. Dwight thought that he had an alley-oop chance at one opportunity. Of course, those two had their little fight. I don't know if it's really that big of a deal. The other thing, too, was their defense just had moments of being bad. Like, there was this one thing where it was like Crowder, Ayton, and CP all involved in this like screen action. It resulted in a DeAndre Ayton lob without much resistance from the Lakers. LeBron fell asleep on a Mikal Bridges cut that was really bad, like in the third quarter. Westbrook's second game was at least better than his first one. I don't know. We'll see with the Lakers. I think the other stories from last night, LaMarcus Aldridge made a million pick and pops, and then James Harden had that one drive where he got smacked in the face by Embiid, but Aldridge finished that off for him. Miles Turner had a 40 bomb. He shot 9 threes. Maybe Carlisle will just make him shoot more. Sabonis is already shooting more threes, and he's looked okay doing it so far. The Pacers are still 0-2, though, partly because Kyle Kuzma went off. I saw like one step back mid-range he had where I'm sure Laker fans got some PTSD, but he made him at least on that night. Lonzo had a triple-double for the Bulls, and I feel like it was kind of the ideal thing for Lonzo where he gets his fast break opportunities, where he could dish it off to, like, there was one to DeRozan that was nice. And then besides that, he has the ball in the half court, but he's not dominating the ball all the time, So like Levine gets some cut opportunities, or he can get a screen, and then he sees Patrick Williams on the wing. Those are some of his assists. The Bulls are 2-0. That's hype. They're still shooting the least amount of threes in the league. Don't know if it's going to end up mattering, but I think it's interesting. So yeah, man. Celtics are a mess. Other teams are not a mess unless you're like the Pelicans. We'll see with them. And yeah.